Guys, good afternoon to all of you. This is Murali Krishna. In the last class, we have discussed about the concepts related to the memory management and file systems, and related to the particular file systems, how the file system is going to take place in the case of Windows operating system and in the case of Linux operating system, and what are the different types of file systems are there, and what are the different types of file attributes are there, how the memory can be organized by the operating system completely. So these are the topics which we have discussed in the last class, that's the memory management and file systems. Now let's come for the concept of a new topic, that's a inter-process communication, that's a IPC in OS. Here the concepts related to, or the topics related to these IPC topics are: first, IPC fundamentals, Unix sockets, remote procedure calls, shared memory and large memory spaces, and how the IPC can take place in the case of Windows network file system, that's a Windows NT, in the case of Windows operating system, as well as in the case of Linux operating system. That's we will discuss about how the IPC can take place in the case of Unix as well as Windows operating systems. Okay. Now here, what do you mean by the word IPC? That's an inter-process communication related to the mechanism to transfer the data between the processes by communicating one process with another process for the exchange of data, or for the exchange of resources, or for the exchange of memory, whatever it is, to transfer the data between the processes, whatever the mechanism which will be implemented by the OS, we can call that one is nothing but the concept of IPC. For what purpose we need it is, why is it needed? Here, not all the procedures can be easily built in a single process. Why means, here in this one, all the tasks cannot be completed by or performed by the single process. We need to go for creating more number of processes to perform the more number of tasks or the jobs, or to execute some number of applications. Here, each and every application, each and every process is having their own applications to execute. OS will going to assign number of applications to the number of processes. Let us consider for a particular process, it wants to execute some application. At that time, to execute that application related to one process, whatever the resources which are required to execute that particular process, that will be held by some other. So at that time, moreover, whatever the data which is required to execute a particular process, to execute a particular application by the process, that data will be held by some other process. So at that time, it has to send some request to exchange the data, or to access the data, or to access the resources. So such type of communication should take place in between the processes. Okay. So for that purpose, to exchange the data or something else, to communicate in between the processes. Okay. So for that purpose, we need the concept of inter-process communication. Next, why do all processes communicate? For what purpose? As I told you that to share the resources and to share the client server paradigms, inherently distributed applications and reusable software components, and good software engineer reasons. For these purposes, either to share the resource, or to share the client server paradigms, or inherently distributed applications, or the reusable software components, or something for any other reasons. So for all these purposes, each and every process has to maintain the communication with some other process. Okay. So for this processes communication, whatever the concept which is implemented by the OS, that itself is our IPC. Here, the basic concept of IPC is a process needs to send data to a receiving process. Sender wants to avoid the details of receiver's condition. Moreover, receiver wants to get the data in an organized manner. Here, this one is the basic concept of IPC. The sender wants to avoid all the details related to the receiver's condition, whether in what condition it is existing, what type of constraints it will going to implement. All these things are not necessary for sender. Here, the receiver has to access the data from the sender in an organized manner. Here, whatever the concept or whatever the existence conditions of sender, it is unnecessary for the receiver. Moreover, the receivers, what type of conditions they are having, the receiver has. Moreover, in what conditions it is existing, what type of environment the receiver is existing. All these things are unnecessary for both the sender's conditions to the receiver and receiver's conditions to sender. Sender has to send and receiver has to receive. That itself is the basic concept of IPC. Here, in the case of voice point of view, first, this one is the private address space related to the process A, and this one is a private address space related to the process B. This one is a completely the OS address space. This one is completely related to the concept of OS address space. Among this OS address space, number of processes will going to share the address space of existing one. Total OS address space can be shared by all the processes. Okay. Moreover, this one is a private address space related to the process A. Moreover, this private address space, it's completely, I am telling you that starting itself, this one is a private. This address space cannot be shared by any other process. Whereas this one is also cannot be shared by any other one. Pink color is related to the process A, green color is related to process B. Green color cannot be shared by any other concept and pink color cannot be shared by any other concept. That entire memory will be, or the address space will be allotted to A only. This will be allotted to B only. That's enough. Okay. This one is the concept of OS point of view. What do you mean by the word just IPC? Moreover, to exchange the data between process A as well as process B, they would like to maintain the communication. That OS has to implement the concept of IPC to communicate, to provide the communication between both process A and process B. Like this, it will going to implement the concept of establishing the connection between both process A as well as process B. Here, the fundamental IPC problems for the OS. OS to implement this particular IPC, what type of problems it will going to face? What are the different types of problems there is a chance to occur? Okay, so see here. Here in this, each process should consist of a private address space. Each process has a private address space. Normally, no process can write to another process's space. As I told you that this one is a private address space for A and this one is a private address space for B. Okay, one private address space is completely related to that one only. It should not enter. It should not be shared by any other process. Okay. Next, how to get important data from process A to process B? By implementing what type of mechanism? By maintaining what type of communication between this process A and process B? How they are exchanging the data and how they are sharing the resources? How they are communicating each other from process A to process B? How long the communication will going to establish? How much time it will going to take? Okay. So like this, all the types of questions will going to be arises in between process A and process B. Now, here in this one, for the problems which are having in the case of previous one, each process should consist of private address space. Moreover, one private address space cannot be shared by any other. How they are going to establish the communication between process A as well as process B? So, these for those problems, OS will going to provide the solutions to IPC problems. So, for the problems which we have discussed earlier, so these are the solutions that OS will be going to provide for the IPC. Here, fundamentally at first, those solutions consist of two options. First one is support some form of shared address space. Support some form of shared address space. Whereas the second one is use OS mechanisms to transport data from address space, from one address space to another address space. Here, from one address space to another address space, by establishing the IPC mechanism, it has to transmit the data or the resources, sharing of resources or transmitting the data, that may be in the case of in the form of files or in the form of messages or in the form of pipes or in the case of RPC, whatever it may be the concept, but it has to communicate from one process, has to communicate with another one. Moreover, once the connection was established through IPC, automatically it has to starts the sending of messages or the sending of files by using the pipes or by using the RPC. This one is the solutions. Next, here in the case of fundamental differences in OS treatment of IPC solutions. Here, those are the fundamental differences are nothing but the concept of shared memory and by using the messages. Here in this one, this for the existing problems at the time of implementing the concept of IPC, what are the different types of problems that OS will going to arise? For those problems, these are the fundamental solutions: shared memory and by using the messages concept. Here in the case of shared memory, OS has the job of setting it up and perhaps synchronizing, but not the transporting data. Whereas in the case of messages, OS will going to be involved in every concept of IPC. Moreover, once the IPC was established, once the communication concept was established in between the two processes, OS will going to start the concept of transporting the data between A and B. Here, what are the different characteristics of IPC? Here, the different characteristics of IPC are: first one, fast. The interprocessor communication should be fast and easy to implement or easy to use. Next, well-defined synchronization model it has to consist of. Next, versatile, easy to implement and works remotely. These are the characteristics of IPC. It must be fast, easy to implement and easy to use, well-defined synchronization model, versatile and works remotely. Here, synchronization is majorly concerns with the IPC concept only. Here, what do you mean by the word synchronization? For what purpose? What are the different applications of synchronization? What do you mean by the word synchronization? Okay. Here, by the concept of synchronization, automatically what the sender side will going to implement, what the position of the sender as well as receiver. See here, synchronization is a major concern for IPC, allowing the sender to indicate when data is transmitted. Allowing sender to indicate when data is transmitted, allowing receiver to know when data is ready. See here, the sender wants to send the data. The sender has the data to send. Automatically, it has to give the information to the receiver that sender is ready to send the data, whether you are ready to receive or not. You must be ready. So it is a alert to the receiver. Sender is ready to send the data. Here in the case of synchronization is nothing but the concept is that at the time of sending the data, automatically the receiver should receive. It will going to pass the message, that alert message to the receiver, that it has to be ready to receive the messages which are sent by the sender. Here in this one, allowing both to know when more IPC is possible. Here, the moment at the time of sender is sending, when the sender is ready, when the receiver should be ready, when the sender is starting the messages, when I have to receive the messages. So like this, all the concepts, both the sender and the receiver, both the concepts related to sender as well as the receiver should be more. Okay, so that's the concept of synchronization. Here, IPC can be done in the case of both the connections as well as connectionless in two cases. See here, IPC mechanisms can be connectionless or require connection. In two ways we can perform the IPC and IPC connections. Sometimes with that maybe the connection oriented as well as connectionless, in both ways. See here connectionless IPC mechanisms requires no preliminary setup, which means that here connectionless means there is no need to establish any circuit concept, or it may be no need to go for representing any physical setup, or it may be logical setup. At the time of sending the messages from source process A to process B, each and every message is having their own concept to transmit in different routes or maybe different paths. Okay, no need to go for establishing any of this setup. In the case of circuit formats, or in the case of establishing the different types of paths, or establishing the different types of pipes, there is no other concept. Here in the case of connection, IPC mechanism requires negotiation as well as it has to set up some establishment or establishing the connection between both sender as well as receiver. Okay, here in the case of connection IPC, both the sender has to negotiation with the receiver. Moreover, I am ready to send, are you ready to receive or not? So like this they have to maintain the negotiation, and after that they have to establish one connection between both sender as well as receiver. That means either in the case of pipes format or establishing the communication channel, or establishing the routing paths. Okay, so like this it has to go for establishing some setup. Through that setup only all the packets has to transmit from process A to process B, or from sender A to receiver. So like this, connectionless, it doesn't require any preliminary setup, whereas in the case of connection IPC, connection oriented, it requires some negotiation, or it's nothing but the concept of agreement between sender and receiver. They have to make some agreement between both sender and receiver, and they have to establish some setup. That's a virtual circuit, or it may be something, whatever it may be, whether it may be the pipes, or it may be communication channel, or it may be virtual circuit, all these things, but in any one of all these concepts. Here in the case of connectionless IPC, see here, data simply flows between sender and receiver. Typically 2 permanent data structures shared in OS by both sender as well as receiver. There is no concept of sharing in between the both sender as well as receiver. Automatically that data will going to take place, flowing of data in a simple manner, which means that there is no concept of circuit representation, or there is no concept of routing path representation. There is no concept of any setup requirement in between both sender as well as receiver. Directly each and every message is having their own route, their own path, like that. Okay, here in this one, here the advantages are nothing but the concept of here the plus refers to the concept of advantages, and the minus refers to the concept of just like we can't say that's a disadvantage, it's a limitations. Okay, here in this good for quick and short communication, this one is the advantages. That's limitations are less efficient for large and frequent communications. Less efficient for large and frequent communications. Each communication takes more OS resources per byte. Each communication takes more OS resources per byte. These are the limitations, these two. And one advantage is that good for quick, short communication. Those two are the concepts of here. What do you mean by the word connectionless IPC? So this one is the concept of connectionless IPC, and here it is a connection oriented IPC. As I already told you that 2 concepts of IPC, in 2 ways we can establish the IPC. There's a connection oriented and connectionless. Here in the case of connection oriented, both sender and receiver, they will going to arrange all the concepts. That's a predefined arrangement we require. That's a pre-arrangement IPC delivery details we require in between the sender and receiver. OS typically saves all the IPC related information for both sender as well as receiver. Next, this concept is also having both their pros and cons for pretty much the opposites of connectionless IPC. Here in this one, as much as complete this IPC is concerned, than the connection oriented, all the operating systems are trying to implement connectionless IPC only. As the complete worldwide, all the messages, all the transformations will going to take place in the case of connectionless only than the implementation of connection oriented. That's why these operating systems are also showing more interest to establish connectionless IPC than the connection oriented IPC. Okay. Here the basic IPC mechanisms are, first one, in what manner there is a chance of establishing the connection, and after establishing the connection, in what way each and every process will going to share the resources, in what format, and in what format that each and every process will going to communicate from one process with another process. So that's what type of data they will going to share, and what type of resources they were going to mention in between the process A as well as process B. So those IPC mechanisms are, first one is a file system, message based, procedure call, and shared memory. IPC mechanisms are, first one file system, message based, procedure call, and shared memory. Let's come for the first one, IPC through the file system. Here in this, sender writes to a file, receiver reads from it, but when does the receiver do the read? Often synchronized with the file locking or lock files. Special types of files can make file based IPC easier one. Here the sender wants to write a file. Receiver has to, once in between the sender as well as receiver, what type of operation they are sender is going to perform exactly the reverse operation that receiver should perform. That the sender is writing means receiver should read. That the receiver is writing means sender should read. So this one is the concept of IPC through the file system. Here it is a special type of files they require for the file based to make that IPC for the file system to make easier one. This one is the file IPC diagram. In this diagram, this pink color as well as green color private address spaces for both process A and process B. Here pink color concept is the private address space for process A. Green color private address space for process B. Here in between these two, process A and process B, this one is the data which is going to be exchanging from process A to process B. Process A is writing the data, process B has to read the data. This one is a sender and this one is a receiver. Okay, this square boxes refers to the concept of data. Okay, process A is writing, process B should read that particular data. Next, in the case of message based IPC, sender formats data into a formal messages with some form of address for receiver. By mentioning the address of receiver, the sender has to send the data. Sender has to format the data. First address and then what type of actual message the sender wants to send. Otherwise, first message and then address. So like this it has to format the data, whatever it may be the format. That format of data is also must be an agreement between sender and receiver. In which format it is the sender is sending the data, in the same format the receiver should receive. Okay, here OS delivers messages to receiver's messages in input queue. Okay, moreover the receiver reads that messages. Why means the sender is writing whereas the receiver should read. Sender might or might not blank. Here at that time the receiver is reading the messages. At the time of reading the messages by the receiver, the sender will going to block or may not. It might be in blocked position or might not be in blocked position. This one is the concept of message based IPC. And here is a diagrammatical representation of message based IPC. Same concept. Here in between the disk, in the case of what we can call file based IPC diagram, here instead of OS that consists of hard disk, there is a disk storage area, whereas in this message based IPC diagram it consists of OS. This one is the data, square boxes, this one is the data. Exactly, square box refers to the concept of data sent from A to B, whereas this rectangular, vertical rectangular box refers to the concept of B's message which is existing in queue formats. Pink color is the private address space for A and green color is the private address space for B, whereas this one is the concept of data sent from A to B, and in between these two, data sent from in between data as well as message, that OS will going to perform all these types of will going to establish the concept of IPC between both process A and process B. Okay. Next, in the case of procedure call IPC, uses same procedure call interface as intra process, not the inter process, intra process. Here for that particular concept of intra process, by using the concept of procedural call IPC, data passed as a procedure. Next, information returned via return values. Based on the returned values, this information will going to be returned. Next, this at the time of writing the information, at the time of returning the information by using some values, there is a chance of getting some complications since the destination procedure is in the different address space. See here, in the case of what we can call both source as well as the destination, if they are existing in the case of same address space, there is no concept of complication to occur. Whereas if both source as well as destination are occurring in the concept of different address spaces, at that time for each and every concept of both at the time of sending the message or at the time of sending the message from both A to B as B to A, in both the cases they requires the concept of mentioning the addresses for each A as well as B. So that type of complications can take place. Why means in the different address spaces means they are not existing in the case of same address region. Whereas in the case of generally that calling procedures blocks the return calls till call returns. Here, by executing all the existing libraries or existing procedures, by executing some procedures, by executing some primitives, that OS will going to establish some IPC. Here, this one is the concept of IPC diagrammatical representation. This one is a procedure. This one is a file IPC diagram. It consists of two procedures. First one is the concept of main, and it is calling. Here, server method is there. Data as parameters, data as return values. Data as parameters from process A to B. Data as return values from process B to A. Here, this one acts, process A will be acts like a client, whereas process B will be acts like a server. That's why data as parameters are in the case of request manner from process A to B. Okay, data as returned values are in the case of reply format, that's from process B to process A. Okay, this one is the concept of procedural call IPC diagrammatical representation. As we have seen earlier, that's a file IPC diagrammatical representation as well as a message IPC diagrammatical representation. Similar to that, this one is the concept of procedural IPC diagram. Here the procedure is nothing but the concept of set of instructions. By implementing some procedure or the segment or by executing some program, it will transmit the data from one process to another process, and in the same manner it will get the reply in the form of returned values. Here the next concept, file message after the completion of procedure, also the last concept of related to the IPC mechanism to implement, that is a shared memory IPC. Here in the case of shared memory IPC, different processes share a piece of memory either physically or virtually. A piece of memory can be shared among all the existing processes either physically or virtually. Here in the case of communications via normal, both the reading process as well as writing process. Here sometimes it may require the semaphores or sometimes it may not require the locking concept. Here in are associated with the shared memory. Here the different processes will be sharing among the concept of a piece of memory will be shared among all the existing processes, whether it may be two processes. So far whatever the examples we have come across, that it consists of only two processes, not only the two. It may consist of 3 or it may consist of 30 or it may consist of 50 processes, or whatever may be the number of processes, all the processes will going to be shared that particular memory piece. Okay, and this one is the IPC diagram related to the concept of shared memory. Here in this one, same concept, private address space for process A, private address space for process B. Here it is sender, process A is writing the variable and process B is reading that particular variable. X equal to 10. X is the variable name, equal to is the assignment operator. For that variable 10 is the value which is assigned by the OS or particular procedure, whatever it is. Here this one is X equal to 10 is the expression, this will be writing, this value will be writing by the process A. Next, after writing, that process B is reading the particular value. Okay. This one is the concept of shared memory IPC diagrammatical representation. Here in this synchronizing in IPC, how does both sending as well as receiving processes synchronize their communications? Synchronizing the communication is nothing but, suppose if both the sender as well as the receiver are existing, sender is fast sending and receiver is having that capacity is in the case of that's a slow manner, fast sender and slow receiver, otherwise slow sender and fast receiver. How we are completely managing these types of situations in between these two cases, that's nothing but the concept of synchronizing. Okay, how we are completely regulating the flow of data in between the both sender as well as receiver, how both the sending as well as the receiving process synchronize their communications. Here in this one, it's having the many possibilities based on which process block when. Here in this one, that means suppose at the time of sending the process as well as receiving the process concepts, if any one process was blocked, let us consider at that time what will going to happen, how we can provide the concept of synchronization between the blocked process and the process which is in active. If both the process are inactive, we can easily provide the concept of synchronizing. There is no difficulty. Whereas one is in active position, another one is in the case of blocked state or the blocked position. Okay, in the two situations where how we are going to provide the concept of synchronizing. That's a concept of what do you mean by that synchronizing concept, and how to regulate the flow of data between both the sender as well as the receiver. If fast sender is existing and slow receiver, and slow sender and fast receiver. Here, these are the different scenarios for the synchronization by having the concept of IPC mechanism. Both blocking send and blocking receive, both are in the case of blocked state. Both the sender as well as the receivers are exist in the case of blocked state. Both the sender and receiver are existing in the blocked state. Sender blocks till receiver receives. Sender blocks till receiver receives. Receiver blocks until sender sends. Once the sender has been started the transmission. Next, once the sender has been started, till that time receiver must be in blocked state. Next, when the receiver is in the received position, when the receiver is in the receiving position, at that time the sender has to stay in blocked position. Okay, here in this one, often called message renders. Okay, so this one is the concept of blocking send and blocking receive. When both are in blocked state, what type of situation? This one is the concept. Next, second one, sender is in the non-blocking state and receiver is in the blocked state. Non-blocking send, comma, blocking receive. Here, sender issues send can proceed without waiting to discover fate of message. Receiver waits for message arrival before proceeding. Essentially, the receiver is message driven. Here in this case of non-blocking sender, which means that sender is in the case of active position, whereas in the case of receiver is in blocked state. So at that time, what will one is in the case of previous concept, both are in the blocked state. Here in this one, only sender is in the blocked state. What type of situation? Now here in this, again, both are in the non-blocking. Both the sender is in the active, both the receivers are also in the active. Sender as well as receiver, both are in active position only. Here, in the case of this concept, neither party blocks. That means there is no chance to block any of the concept. Sender proceeds after sending messages, receiver also continuing its concept of receiving all the messages which are sent by the sender. Here, these are the three, in the case of last three previous slides, we have discussed about the concept of both the senders are in the, both sender as well as the receiver in the case of blocked state. Only sender is in the case of blocked state, or only receiver is in the case of blocked state. Whereas in the case of the next concept is addressing in IPC. How to mention the address? By using what concept? By using what type of class? Either class A or class B, class C, class C. So here 5 different types of address spaces we have. Among the existing 5 different types of address spaces, class A, B, C, D, E, how this addressing can be done? By using IPC. How does the sender specify where the data goes? Here, how to specify the address? Where it has to send? To what receiver we have to send the data? What receiver has to, which receiver has to receive the data? How to mention the address? What type of bit representation it will going to perform? So like this, among the existing 5 different types of address spaces, which will going to act, which will going to consider. Okay, so like this, how to mention the concept of address to the receiver at the time of sending the data is complete concept in the case of addressing in IPC. In some cases, the mechanism makes the both explicit, that's a shared memory, and RPC remote procedure calls. In other, there are no other options for the mentioning of addressing. 2 concepts are there, that's a direct addressing as well as indirect addressing. In both the concepts of direct as well as indirect address, in any of the 5 different formats it can use the address. That's a bit representation only. It may go for using the concept of either 32 or maybe 64 bit representation. Okay, see here, in the case of direct addressing, sender specifies name of the receiving process using some form of unique process name. receiver can either specify name of expected sender. Here, in the case of direct addressing mode, sender specify the name of the receiving process. That's a name. That name also can be considered. Name also can be converted into the different format of address. Okay. Here, in the case of that's a IP address only. Each and every process is having their own concept of IP address to represent. Along with that IP address itself refers to the concept of name of the receiving process. If the receiver is sending, name of the sending process. If the sender is sending, name of the receiving process. Using some form of unique process name, and receiver can either specify the name of expected sender. Next, in the case of, as I already told you that two types of addressing modes we have, direct addressing mode and indirect addressing mode. In the case of indirect addressing mode, data is sent to codes at the mail boxes and some other form of shared data structure. Not a direct representation of message. This one is the actual message I am sending in the same format of actual message you have to receive. Not like that. In the different format of queues, or in the case of different format of mailboxes, or some other format of shared data, it will going to send. That's an indirect addressing. Here the receiver will perform some form of read operations on that particular data structures. Really, whether it is sent by the authorized sender or not. Whether this particular message consists of any errors or not, whether this one is an actual message or any other what we can call harmful messages or not. So like this, it has to, the receiver has to perform some read operations on the received message. Okay, much more flexible than direct addressing. OS will going to implement, OS will going to show more interest to perform indirect addressing only, to assign indirect addressing for the messages than the direct addressing. Here, these are the Unix IPC mechanisms, are the different versions, different types of Unix IPC mechanisms. Unix refers to the concept of operating system. All the Unix versions of families, these are the types of mechanisms for IPC. First one is the pipes, second one is the message queues, third one is the semaphores, shared memory, sockets, and then RPC. These are the different types of IPC mechanisms which are going to be implemented in case of Unix family of operating systems. Let's come for the first concept, pipes. Here in this one, pipes only mechanism early in the case of Unix systems other than files. These pipes mechanism is unidirectional, unformatted, uninterrupted. Next, interprocess byte streams. These are some of the characteristics, or directly these are the properties of pipes we can see. Moreover, accessed in file like a way. Similar to the files, we can access the messages, or we can access the complete concept by using similar to the concept of files, and pipes both are same only. But in the case of the only difference is this files concept is completely, that's what we can call bidirectional, whereas in the case of pipes is the only unidirectional concept. Pipes are the files are the formatted, whereas pipes are unformatted. Files are interpreted, whereas pipes are uninterpreted. Whereas the files are interprocess byte streams. This one is also intraprocess byte streams. So like this, each and every concept we can differentiate from pipes to files. Here, unidirectional, unformatted, uninterpreted, interprocess byte streams. These are the characteristics, or directly we can say these are the what we can call properties of pipes. Pipes is the one of the IPC mechanism for the concept to implement in the case of Unix. Here, this one will be accessed in file like a way. Next, after the completion of pipes, what do you mean by the word message queues? These are the message queues is the IPC mechanism in Unix introduced in system V, released in the case of third version of Unix. Like pipes, data is organized into messages. This message component includes what are the different types of fields. Message component include type identifier, what is the length of messages. Next, how the data will going to be organized in the form of messages. What type of data we are going to send, whether it is a text data or in the type of what is the different type of format of data, that's a video format or the audio format or text or graphics or something, whatever it is. Okay, this message component includes, these are the fields. What do you mean by the word type identifier? How much is the length of message and what type of data it consists of? This one is the concept. Next, in the case of semaphores. Here, these semaphores are also introduced in the case of System V3 release, System version 3, Unix versions, most for synchronization only. These semaphores is a major concept which will be implemented for the concept of implementing synchronization only. We can get the synchronization by using both semaphores as well as monitors. Okay, mostly for synchronization only. Since they only communicate one bit of information, semaphores will going to communicate only one bit of information between both process A as well as process B. Suppose the bit representation is the 1. Yes, both process A and process B are in a synchronized manner. If the representation bit is 0, which means that there is no concept of synchronization in between both process A and process B. Okay. Moreover, we can use these semaphores in the case of conjunction with some shared memory also. Conjunction with shared memory. Next, Unix shared memory, also introduced in the case of System V release 3 Unix version, and allows 2 or more processes to share some memory segments with some control over read or write permissions, often used to implement both thread packages for Unix, implementing the different types of thread packages. Here in the case of what we can call collection of modules itself, directly we can say as packages. Moreover, a thread is a lightweight process, whereas a process is a heavyweight. Number of threads collection itself we can say as process. Number of threads collection itself is the process. So process automatically it's a heavyweight and thread is a lightweight. And here in the case of sockets introduced in 4.3 BSD, a socket is an IPC channel with generated endpoints. Socket is an IPC channel with generated endpoints. Great flexibility in its characteristics. Intended as a building block for communication. Socket is nothing but the concept of primitive. OS primitive itself is the socket. Each and every primitive is having their own special predefined meaning. By the execution of primitive, automatically some action will going to be performed by the OS. Here, endpoints are established by the source and destination processes. In the case of remote procedure calls, the procedure calls from one address space to another address space. Procedure is nothing but the concept of, in the case of previous slide, we have already come across that procedure is the set of statements. Whatever the concept it is sending that process A to B, that's like in the case of request manner. Whatever the procedure from receiver to sender, that will be in the case of reply manner. So that's a procedure calls from one address space to another address space. That's nothing but private address space of process A to private address space of process B. Requires cooperation from both processes. In Unix, often built on sockets. Often these concepts we can use in the case of client-server computing concepts also. In the case of all the client-server applications, we can use this RPC mechanism. Okay. These are the different types of socket domains. Domains can be internal protocols, internet protocols, and interface message processors. Interface message processors. These are the 3 different types of socket domains. The socket domain describes what type of protocol family among the existing number of family of protocols, what type of concept we are using. Next, here domains can be categorized into 3. That's internal protocols, internet protocols, and interface message processors, link layer protocols, IMP link layer protocols. These are the different domains of sockets. From these different domains of sockets, it depends upon the application, depends upon the user's convenience, depends upon the OS convenience, what type of protocols to be implemented based on the nature of application to execute. Okay, these are the concept of socket domains. Next, these are the types of sockets. The socket type describes what socket does. Okay, these are the several types. First one, sock. SOCK, that's a sock underscore stream, sock underscore DGRAM, sock underscore SEQ PACKET, sock underscore RAW, sock underscore RDM. Okay, here what's the type of flow, what's the type of stream, what's the type of data flow, that can be defined by socket underscore stream. Next, for each and every flow of message, it is having, or the OS will going to assign some sequence numbers to each and every packet. Packet refers to the concept of collection of messages which are sent from sender to receiver. For each and every packet, suppose we are I am sending the 10 packets of data or 10 messages. OS for that my 10 messages to send, at that time OS will going to allot the what we can call a sequence numbers to the messages or the packets. That's a packet 1, packet 2, packet 3, packet 4, packet 5, like this. Okay, that's a sequence of packets. Moreover, in whatever the manner I am sending, in what format I am sending all the packets, in the same sequence the receiver should receive. There's a packet 1, packet 2, packet 3, 4, 5, like this. Okay, in the same manner the receiver should receive the concepts. These are the socket types. First one is examples of sockets are sock underscore STRAM, sock underscore DZRAM, sock underscore SEUQ packet, sock underscore raw, sock underscore RDM. Next, socket protocols. This parameter specifies a particular protocol to be used by the socket. Here in the case of socket protocols, first it will going to specify what type of protocol we are using among the existing three concepts of protocol families. First one is the internal protocol or the internet protocol or IMP link layer protocols. Among the existing three families of sockets, which one we are using? That is socket protocols. Must match other parameters also. Moreover, only one protocol per socket type is available. There is no chance to implement different types of what we can call socket protocols at a time. Only one type of protocol we can implement at a time. These are the different types of socket options. First one, connection oriented as well as connectionless, blocking or non-blocking, out of band information, broadcast. What are the different type buffer sizes for both input as well as output? What are the routing options? And what are the different other issues are there related to the OS as far as socket implementation is taking place? Okay, connection oriented and connectionless, blocking and non-blocking, out of band information, broadcast. Next, buffer sizes, routing option, and what are the different other issues. Similar to the concept of this what we can call socket connection oriented means, by the execution of a particular socket, it has to establish in between both process A as well as process B, it has to establish some circuit. Or we cannot say whether it will be the circuit, or we have to go for establishing some that's a communication channel or communication path or the communication process, whatever it is. Okay, there's a physically. Moreover, connectionless is nothing but the concept of there is no need to implement, no need to establish any setup. It doesn't require any setup physically. Okay, when here in the case of blocking or the non-blocking, already three situations we have already come across in the previous slides. That is, sender is in the blocking state and receiver is in the non-blocking state. Sender is non-blocking and the receiver is in the blocking. If both are in the blocking state, if both are in non-blocking states, so these are the different types of situations. Next, out of band information. Other than this, if at all any additional information either process A or process B wants to access or wants to send. Okay. Next, broadcast. It refers to the concept of sending that same information related to all the processes. Okay, within the surrounding of operating system, all the process, that irrespective of their interest related to the process, sending the message to each and every process. That itself is the concept of broadcast. What are the different types of buffer sizes? Suppose additional information is there, that additional information for the required information, my memory will be allotted only the fixed size as 50 kilobytes of data. For my job to execute, I require one more 5 kilobytes of data as an additional information, where I have to store that additional information. That's the buffer sizes. That's a temporary buffer sizes about how much it is, 5 megabytes or 10 kilobytes or 40 kilobytes, like that. For both input as well as output, it will allocate the buffer sizes. Next, in the case of routing options, what are the different types of routing options it will going to be implemented by the OS? OS will going to implement what are the different types of routing options in between both process A as well as process B. And other than all these concepts, if at all any other issues are there, whether it may be internal issues of OS or it may be external issues of OS, okay, all these are comes under socket options. This one is a diagrammatical representation of RPC in action. Here client caller and server is calling. Client is the caller, server is calling. That means client is sending some request to the server. Server has to reply. Which is giving the reply, that is a calling. Which is expecting the reply, that is a caller. Each and every client is having their own client stub. This client stub is nothing but a subroutine. This client will going to call its own client stub. That's by executing some call. Here all these client as well as client stub are completely maintaining in the case of a particular network or in the case of OS. Same from the client to OS, OS to server stub, and the server stub to this one, call. Okay, this one is the concept of complete reply, sending the request from caller to callee. Again, in the similar manner, in the reverse manner, again, server is sending the reply. So far, the client is sent the request concept. From the server, the client should get the reply. That's in reverse manner. This one, and in the case of this, and in the case of this. Okay, first one call, that's a request, and second one is the concept of reply. This one is a diagrammatical representation of RPC in how really that OS will going to implement that remote procedure calls between both client as well as receivers. This one is the concept. Next one, concurrency. Here the concept of concurrency arises in which situations? What are the different situations which leads to concurrency? There's a multiple applications is the first. These multiple applications are completely sharing the total time. Entire time is completely divided into discrete intervals. Each and every application is having their own contention slots. Okay, multiple applications, they are sharing their timing representations. All the time will be divided into slots. Next, multiple applications, structured applications, OS structure. Here in the case of OS structure, operating system structure, OS themselves implemented as a set of processes or threads. These are the key terms. Some of the key terms are related to concurrency. Okay, first one is the atomic operation, critical section, deadlock, live lock, mutual exclusion, race condition, starvation. Okay, here in the case of starvation is nothing but the concept of what we can call it's a situation where a runnable process is completely overlocked indefinitely. The process is having the high priority. That high priority process will going to be executed by blocking or by locking the low priority system. High priority process will be executed at first. Low priority, by blocking that low priority process, high priority process will be executed at first. That's the concept of starvation. Here, a situation in which runnable process will be overlooked indefinitely by the scheduler, although it is able to proceed, it is never chosen. So this one is the type of situation which will going to execute, which will going to be occur in the case of OS. The type of situation can be known as starvation. Here, in the case of atomic operation, a sequence of one or more statements that appears to be indivisible, that is no other process can see, intermediate state or interrupt the operation. This one is the concept of atomic operation. And a critical section, deadlock, live lock, mutual exclusion, race condition, starvation. These are the some of the topics, some of the key terms which will going to come across in the case of concurrency. Here, what are the difficulties of concurrency? Here, first one, sharing of global resources, optimally managing the allocation of resources, difficult to locate programming errors as results are not deterministic or reproducible. These are the difficulties. First one, sharing of global resources. Here in the case of global resources, all the local resources will be shared automatically. There is no concept of any problem occurred in the case of sharing the concept of local resources, whereas the only problem the OS will going to arise or OS will going to get, that's a sharing of global resources. Writing a shared variable, the order of writes is important. Incomplete writes a major problem. Optimally managing the or allocation of resources. Difficult to locate programming errors as results are not deterministic and reproducible. Competition among processes for resources. Processes are completely competing each other for what are the different types of resources. Okay, three main control problems are there. First one, need for mutual exclusion, that's a critical sections. Next, deadlock, it should not, within the OS, in between all the processes, deadlock should not occur, starvation should not occur. Okay, all the processes must be free from deadlock, starvation, mutual exclusion. This one is the conditions. There's a competition among processes for resources. These are the three main control problems are mutual exclusion, deadlock and starvation. Requirements for mutual exclusion. Here, these are the different types of requirements are there for the mutual exclusion for critical section to avoid. There's only one process at a time is allowed into the critical section for a resource. Only one process will be allowed into the critical section to use the particular resource. A process that halts in its non-critical section must do so without interfering with other processes. Each and every process should access the existing resources in a non-critical section without interfering with the other process. No deadlock or starvation. A process must not be delayed access to a critical section when there is no other process using it. If another process is not using that any of the resource, so if that particular resource is idle, directly it can take the concept of that having that particular resource, it can access. No assumptions are made about the relative process speeds or number of processes. No assumptions are made about relative process speeds or number of processes. A process remains inside its critical section for a finite time only, not the infinite time. Here, within the critical section are having the concept of or holding the resource by any process within the finite time only, not the infinite time. By means that resource may be that resource may be required for any other process it has to release. So the moment how much time it requires, it has to hold that particular resource within that time only. That's nothing but the concept of either 10 seconds or the 20 seconds or 30 seconds, like that finite time, not the infinite time. Here only one process at a time is allowed. Process that halts in its critical, the non-critical section, no deadlock or the starvation. A process must not be delayed access to a critical section. No assumptions are made about the relative process. A process remains inside its critical section up to finite time only, not the infinite. Next, process synchronization. In the case of process synchronization, both process A as well as process B has to exist in the synchronized manner. First, they have to synchronize each other. Then only there is a chance of establishing the communication. That's an IPC mechanism by the OS in between both A and B. Okay. What do you mean by the word synchronization? What are the critical section problem? And for that problem, what's the type of solution that's provided by the Peterson? And what do you mean by the word synchronization? Hardware, semaphores, what are the classical problems of synchronization? Monitors, synchronization examples, and atomic transactions. These are the topics, or these are the concepts related to title, that's a process synchronization. Here, what are the different objectives of synchronization? Majorly, to introduce the critical section problem whose solutions can be used to ensure the consistency of shared data. To introduce the critical section problem. Really, if there is a chance to occur this type of problem, okay, by using what type of concepts we can overcome this type of problems. What are the different types of solutions can be provided by the OS? How to solve the critical section problem? Okay. Next, what is that? Second objective is to present both software as well as hardware solutions for the critical section problem. Critical section problem is having the solution in the case of software manner or in the case of hardware manner, or by the implementation of both the solutions. So like this. Next, what the third objective is here to introduce the concept of an atomic transaction and describe mechanisms to ensure atomicity. Atomicity, consistency, isolation, durability. Okay. These are we can call as acid properties. By having these concepts of by implementation of these properties only, we can there is a chance of synchronizing the processes within the OS. Okay, so these are the three objectives: to introduce the critical section problem, next to prevent both software as well as hardware solutions for the critical section problem, and to introduce the concept of both atomic transactions to ensure the atomicity. These are the three objectives. Here in this one, concurrent access to shared data may result in data inconsistency. Concurrent access to shared data may result in data inconsistency. Maintaining data consistency requires mechanisms to ensure the orderly execution of cooperating processes. Suppose that we wanted to provide a solution that's a consumer producer problem that fills all the buffers. We can do so by having integer count that keeps track of all the number of full buffers at a time. Here initially the count will be set to 0, and that count value will be incremented by 1 from 0 to maximum value. Automatically the count value, the moment when the count value reaches to the maximum, which means that that transaction has been completed in between both process A as well as P. Okay, here it will be incremented by the producer after it produces a new buffer and is decremented by the consumer the moment when it is consuming the concept. Here the count value, by sending the messages at a time, automatically the count value will be increased. At the time of receiving side, first one received, leave it, second one received, leave it, third one received, leave it. So like this, among the 10, automatically it is going to decrease the concept, decrementing the count value. At the time of sender side, incrementing the count value. At the time of receiving side, automatically it will decreases the count value. Here, what do you mean by the word that's a producer consumer problem? Here in this one, in the case of producer, this one is a concept or the code related to the concept of producer. Here, while of true, if at all any condition, really in all the situations directly we are considering that concept as true only. Here in this, while count equal to buffer size. Here buffer, that input concept, next to produced, input plus 1. In the case of producer, that's nothing but the concept of sender side. Always the input value will be incremented. That's the in plus 1. This will be modulus with buffer underscore size, and automatically each and every value of the count will be increased. That's a count plus plus. Next, this one is the concept of consumer. Here in this one, while of true, while count equal to 0. Next, consumed, buffer out equal to out plus 1 modulus buffer size. Here count minus minus. At the time of receiving side or at the time of consuming the messages, automatically that count value will be decreases by 1. Whereas in the case of producing side or the sender side, count value will be incremented by 1. That's a count minus minus. Similar to in the case of producer, that is a count plus plus. In the case of consumer, that is count minus minus. Next, consumer. Here this one is a solution to critical section problem. What are the different types of requirements? These are the requirements for the critical section problem. These requirements will provide the solution. Okay, what are the requirements means? First one, mutual exclusion. Second one is a progress. Third one is the bounded waiting. First one is a mutual exclusion. Second one is a progress. Third one is bounded waiting. Mutual exclusion: if process PI is executing in its critical section, then no other processes can be executing in their critical sections. Progress means if no process is executing in its critical section and there exist some processes that wish to enter their critical section, then the selection of all these processes that will be entered in the critical section next cannot be postponed indefinitely. Okay. Whereas in the case of bounded waiting, a bound must exist on the number of times that other processes are allowed to enter into the critical section. If at all any one process is in the critical section, that critical section should not allow any other process to enter into that. Okay, only one process should stay in the critical section for its execution. Okay, these are the three different types of requirements: mutual exclusion, progress, and bounded waiting. Here is the solution for critical section problem. That solution we can call as a Peterson's solution. Here, this Peterson's solution is nothing but the concept of two-process solution. Assume that the load and store instructions are atomic, that is, cannot be interpreted. Two processes share two variables, that is, turn and flag. The flag is the concept of Boolean type data type. Turn is the concept of integer data type. These two are the these two are the shared variables. The variable turn indicates whose turn it is to enter into the critical section. The flag array is used to indicate if a process is ready to enter that critical section. Flag of I equal to true implies that process PI is ready to execute. These are the this one is a solution related to the concept of critical section problem. This Peterson has given the solution for this one. This one is a two process solution. Load and store are the two instructions, two variables we are using. There's a turn and flag of two. Okay, here the turn indicates whose turn. Turn indicates what's the next process to enter into the critical section. Flag refers to the concept of if the flag is the high. Flag is the concept is the it's a Boolean representation. That's a flag equal to true means that process will be ready to execute. Okay. Next, here semaphore. Semaphore is nothing but the concept of synchronization tool that does not require busy waiting. Semaphore is nothing but the concept of synchronization tool that does not require busy waiting. Semaphore capital S is an integer variable. Two standard operations consist in the case of semaphore, that is wait and signal, originally called as P and V. There is a wait and signal. These two are the standard operations of semaphore. This semaphore is a less complicated. Semaphores can only be accessed via two indivisible operations. That's a wait and signal only. Here this one is a concept of this one is a simple code format in which manner we can represent the concept of semaphore. That is wait of S, while S is less than or equal to 0. No operations, S minus minus. Whereas next in the case of signal, that means another process is ready to execute. That's a S plus plus. If no process is in the case of waiting state, that's automatically its count value. Signal is refers to the concept of minus minus. If at all it is process is giving the signals, then it will be S plus plus. Here semaphore as a general synchronization tool. Here the two different types of semaphores: counting semaphore and binary semaphore. Majorly this counting semaphore refers to the concept of integer value can range over unrestricted domain. Here counting semaphore is an integer value can range over an unrestricted domain. Whereas in the case of binary semaphore is also an integer value, that's a 0 or 1 only. Any other integer value in the case of counting semaphore, whereas only two integer values, that's 0 or 1, that itself is the concept of binary semaphore. This binary semaphore can be simpler to implement than the counting semaphore. Can implement a counting semaphore yes as a binary semaphore. Provides the mutual exclusion. That's a semaphore. That's a mutex value will be initialized to 1. Wait of mutex, critical section. Signal of mutex, reminder section. While of true. This one is the concept of counting semaphore as well as the binary semaphore for a critical section problem to represent a in general representation of semaphore. Here semaphore implementation can be done in the case of wait and signal processes. Must guarantee that no two processes can execute wait and signal on the same semaphore at the same time. Okay, see here, which means that one process should not perform both wait as well as a signal concept. on the same semaphore at the same time. One process, two processes. One process is executing the wait means another process is another process has to go for executing some other operation on the semaphore. Two processes can go for executing both the concepts of wait as well as signal at a time. Okay, all the process has to go for executing the one or different one. Okay. Next, in the case of implementation has becomes a critical section problem where the wait and signal code are placed in the critical section. Here, note that all the applications may spend lots of time in the critical section and therefore this is not a good solution. Sometimes, in general, no two processes can execute both wait as well as signal. But in general, some of the processes will perform in the same manner. That all these two signals, wait and signal operations, will be executed at a time on the same semaphore at a time. Okay, so at that time it is unable to provide this solution. That's why whatever the solution which is what we can call whatever the solution which is given by the semaphore in these types of situations, that's a busy waiting, we can say this is not a good solution. Why means some of the processes are performing or executing the same type of operations, wait and signal operations on the same semaphore at the same time. That's why it is not a good solution. Next, deadlock and starvation. Deadlock refers to the concept of two or more processes are waiting indefinitely for an event. Okay, that means only one resource is there. P0 and P1 are the two processes. Both are ready to execute, but both the process requires that resource. Both the processes P0 as well as P1 requires that particular resource. If it is a shared resource, so automatically this P0 as well as P1 will going to share that one. If it is not a shared resource, to what process that resource will be allotted by the OS, for the P0 or for the P1. Okay, suppose that resource will be allotted to the P0, P1 has to wait. That resource will be allotted to P1, P0 has to wait. So these are the concepts. In these two situations, automatically these two situations will lead to the concept of deadlock. Starvation means indefinite blocking. A process may never be removed from the semaphore queue in which it is suspended. Till by suspending that particular process, after suspension, the process will be removed from the queue. That's the concept of starvation, indefinite blocking. By suspending that particular process, till the removing of that suspended process from the queue, there is no chance to execute any other process in the critical section. Okay, that type of concept is we can say as a starvation. Next, here in the case of priority inversion, scheduling problem when low priority process holds lock needed by high priority process. This one is the deadlock and starvation. Classical problems of synchronization. What are the different types of problems of synchronization? By implementing the concept of synchronization, we can solve these types of problems. We can't say readers, we can't say what do you mean by the word of there's a dining philosophers and readers, writers, all these means don't try to say this one is these are the problems related to, don't give the statements. That's a dining philosopher means dining table consists of, and around the dining table 5 people are sitting and 5 folks are existing. Each process to take the meals are for the eating process, by each philosopher they require the 2 folks. So all these things you don't need to go for directly giving the concept of statement for the dining philosopher or the readers, writers, or the bounded buffer problems. What's the concept of bounded buffer problem? How we are going to solve this bounded buffer or the readers, writers, and dining philosopher means these are the applications of synchronization. These are the applications of synchronization, you have to say. That's a thing. bounded buffer problem. Here in the case of n buffers are existing, each can hold one item. N buffers are existing, each buffer is holding one item. Next, semaphore mutex is initialized to the value 1, semaphore full initialized to the value 0, semaphore empty initialized to the value n. This one is the concept of bounded buffer problem. N buffers holding one item, semaphore mutex 1, semaphore full value will be assigned to 0 or initialized to 0, semaphore empty will be initialized to n. Here, this one is the concept of producer process. This one is a structure representation of producer process in the bounded buffer problem. The structure of producer process is wait empty, wait mutex, signal mutex, signal full, while of true. Here in this one, it has to perform all these concepts. Wait as well as signal operations in the case of both producer process. In the case of consumer process also, it has to perform both the concepts of wait as well as signal. Here, in the case of producer process, it has to produce an item. In the case of next concept, that's a next process. It has to produce some item. That produced item will be added in the case of buffer. Add that particular item to the buffer. That's a signal of mutex and signal of full. This one is the structure representation of producer process in bounded buffer problem. Here, this one is a structure related to the consumer process of bounded buffer problem. Same as I told you that wait operation it will perform as well as signal operation it will perform. In the case of consumer process, it will remove the item from the buffer. In the case of producer problem, it will going to add the item to the buffer. In the case of consumer process, it will going to remove the item from the buffer. So both the operations wait as well as signal will be performed in the case of operating. That's a consumer process and producer process. That's the concept of previously we have seen, that's a bounded buffer problem. And this one is the concept of readers writers problem. Here, the concept of readers writers problem is a data set is shared among the number of concurrent processes. A data set is shared among the number of concurrent processes. Readers and writers, both the concepts are existing. Readers only read the data set. They do not perform any updates. Once any process is ready to performing the update, means it will never come under reader. It will come under writer. Okay. Next, writers can both read as well as write. Readers only read the data set, whereas in the case of writers can both read as well as write. Here, what the problem of readers writers means? Allowing multiple readers to read at the same time. Only one single writer can access the shared data at the same time. This one is the actual statement of readers writers problem. Here, what the concept is? Allowing the multiple readers to read the content or the data set at a time, but at the time of modifying, only it has to go, OS has to allow single writer to modify the data or to share that particular data. For the reading purpose, OS can allow any number of readers, whereas at the time of writing the data or at the time of modifying the data, OS should allow only one writer. Next, the sharing concept may be dataset, or sharing concept may be semaphore, or maybe semaphore with respect to initialized to 1. Next, semaphore mutex will be initialized to 1. Next, integer read count will be initialized to 0. These are the shared data. This shared data may be dataset, semaphore mutex initialized to 1, semaphore with respect to initialized to 1, integer read count initialized to 0. Among all these four concepts, there is a shared data may be any one. And readers writers problem. This one is a structure of writer process. Wait as well as a signal. Wait as well as a signal, both the operations it will be performed. First wait and then signal. Writing is performing in this writer process. Next, this one is the concept of a structure of reader process. Wait of mutex, read count plus plus. If read count equal to 1, wait with respect to that writer, and the signal of mutex. Reading is performed. Wait of mutex. Even at the time of waiting concept of mutex, wait operation is under the execution, read count value will be increased. The moment when the signal operation is under execution, read count value will be decreases. This one is the concept of, this one is a code or the structure related to the readers writers and readers process, and the previous one is the concept of a structure of writer process, and this one is the concept of dining philosopher problem. In this dining philosopher problem, here it is a rice. Here these are refers to the concept of forks. These are the 5 plates, and this one is the concept of 5 philosophers. Okay, each philosopher requires 2 forks to take the rice. Okay, but each is having only 1 fork only. Okay, what they have to share? Bowl of rice. Next, semaphore chopstick of 5 initialized to 1. They have to share the rice as well as along with the these sticks or the forks. Here in the case of this one is the structure or the code part related to the concept of philosopher. Both wait as well as the signal operations it will performs. Here wait chopstick of I plus 1 modulus 5. Total 6 are there. The 6 modulus 5. Then there is a chance of eating. Okay. Otherwise, if they are not having the concept of chopstick of I signal operation, that means another one has not given the concept of any signal to take the fork or the chopstick. They have to wait in a thinking position itself. If anyone has given the concept of their fork or the chopstick, automatically one person will get the concept of 2 chopsticks. They will going to maintain the concept of eating position. That's it. Okay. Here, this one is the concept of more problems with the semaphores. What are the different types of problems? That is, release too much on programmers not making mistakes, either accidentally or intentionally. That's a deliberate. Incorrect use of semaphore operation. That is, signal of mutex, wait of mutex, wait of mutex, wait of mutex, omitting of wait of mutex, or signal or both. Wait of mutex or signal of mutex or both, whatever it is. Okay, here performing this one and leaving off this, performing this and leaving off this, or performing and leaving off both the concept in any of the concept. Incorrect use of semaphore operations in any of the concept. Signal we are implementing perfectly, not the incorrect implementation of wait. Wait is correct, wait of mutex is not a correct one. So like this, incorrect use of all these semaphore operations, at that time it leads to more problems. And here this one is the concept of monitors. Monitor refers to the concept of a high level abstraction that provides a convenient and effective mechanisms for process synchronization. Only one process may be active within the monitor at a time. Only one process may be active within the monitor at a time. Here monitor name, open brace, producer P1, producer P2, producer P3, and so on. Sorry. Here in the case of monitor name, open brace. What are the different types of shared variable declarations are there? We are declaring all that particular variables. After that, what's the procedure P1 to use that particular shared variable? Okay, and their coding. That's a open brace as well as in between the open brace and close. Next one in the case of procedure P2. Open what its concept, what its coding. Procedure up to P3, P4, P5, P6, and so on up to Pn. What are their code related to this? We have to place all that procedure or the set of statements in this open brace and close brace. Okay, what's the initialization code? This okay. This one is the concept of how to maintain the structure, how the structure representation of a monitor, which is having the concept of shared variable declarations as well as procedures. This one is a schematic view of a monitor. Here in this one, this monitor consists of both shared data. These are the different types of operations, and this one is the initialization code, and these are the entry queue. This entry queue consists of all the processes. These processes are completely sharing the data which is existing here. This data will be shared. This data is existing in the shared mode. This data will be shared by all these processes. And this queue consists of first, second, third as well as 4 processes. Okay, these by having that shared data, these are the different types of operations it will going to perform. That's the first one, second one, third one, fourth, fifth, like this. What are the different types of operations are there? All that operations we have to mention in this particular area. Next, here in this one is the concept of initialization code. What are the synchronization examples? Synchronization examples are Solaris, Windows XP, Linux. That's a POSIX thread. P threads, that's a P threads refers to the POSIX threads. Okay. Solaris, Windows XP, Linux operating system, and then POSIX threads. Solaris is nothing but the concept of your Unix versions, Unix version family of operating system, and this Solaris OS will be developed by, OS is completely developed by Sun Microsystems in 1970s only. Here Solaris synchronization implements a variety of locks. This OS implements a variety of locks to support multitasking and multi-threading and multi-processing. Solaris is nothing but the concept of Unix family of versions. Implements a variety of locks to support multitasking, multi-threading and multi-processing. Uses adaptive mutexes for efficiency when protecting data from shortcode segments. Uses conditional variables and readers writers locks also. Next one. Uses turnstiles to order the list of threads waiting to acquire either an adaptive mutex or reader writer lock. This one is the concept of Solaris. What are the different types of concepts it will going to support, what it will going to use. Okay, turnstiles, conditional variables, readers writers locks as well as adaptive mutexes it can use. It implements the different concepts such as multitasking, multi-threading as well as multi-processing. Next, other than the Solaris, one more concept is synchronization. Examples of synchronizations are first, next second one is the Windows XP. Here this Windows XP uses interrupt mask to protect access to global resources on uniprocessor systems. Here Windows XP operating system uses spin locks on multiprocessor systems. Also provide dispatcher objectives which may act as either mutexes and semaphores. Dispatcher objects may also provide events. Okay. Here in this one, uses interrupt mask to protect access to global resources on uniprocessor systems. Spin locks, dispatcher object it can use. Dispatcher object may also provide the different types of events. Here in the case of Linux synchronization, Linux operating system is prior to kernel version 2.6, disables interrupts to implement short critical sections. Version 2.6 and later fully, it's a preemptive. Linux provides both semaphores as well as spin locks. Okay. Here, prior to the kernel version 2.6, it disables interrupts to implement short critical sections. Version 2.6 and later fully preemptive. Linux provides both semaphores as well as spin locks. Here pthreads refers to the concept of that's a process, what we can call that's a POSIX threads. POSIX thread synchronization, that's a pthreads API is an OS independent. Similar to that remaining concepts of all the interfaces, some of the APIs are OS independent. This among that OS independent APIs, the best example is POSIX threads. Here it provides mutex locks, condition variables. Whereas in the case of this non-portable extensions includes. Here in this one, read, write, locks and spin locks. Each and every concept of operating system will provide the concept of both the condition variables it will uses, reader, writer, locks it will implements. Moreover, spin locks also it can implements. This one is a POSIX threads synchronization. Here, this POSIX thread synchronization, POSIX threads are nothing but the application programming interface. This API is completely OS independent. What are the different types of locks? What are the different types of condition variables it is using? Okay, what are the non-portable extensions, and includes all the concepts it will implements. Non-portable extensions includes what are the different types of concepts, means there's a read, write locks and spin locks. Okay, this one is the concept of your that is synchronization, process synchronization. And before that, what do you mean by the word inter-process communication? How this what do you mean by the word inter-process communication? What are the different ways in the case of inter-process communication in the case of to implement it, that is in the case of Windows OS as well as Unix OS? What do you mean by the word pipes, message queues, shared memory, semaphores, monitors, process threads? What are the example problems related to the synchronization? And what do you mean by that? That's a example operating systems for the synchronization. That's a pthreads, Linux OS, Windows XP and Solaris. So like this, these are all the concepts we have come across in this particular session. Okay, so this one is the concept of this. This is the end of this session, and we have covered all the topics related to IPC as well as the synchronization. And in the case of previous slides, in the case of previous sessions also, we have come across all the remaining topics. That's a memory management, or it may be file systems, or it may be process and threads, deadlock and starvation, and CPU scheduling, file managements. So all the things are completed in the case of your operating system. All the topics are covered. Okay, so this one is the complete end of this session with the two topics, that is IPC and synchronization. Okay, thank you very much, and we will meet again by the next session with the new topics. Okay, thank you very much.